Which company will buy Circle, Coinbase, or Ripple? Or will Circle be able to hold out? So it looks like there is now a bidding war going on for Circle USDC. I wanted to look at all the facts and information and tell you how I feel about this and how I think it will play out. So let's get a better sense of what's going on here. Coinbase and Ripple are both interested in buying Circle's newest projects. Guys, if you find this useful, please hit like and share. Let's reach 100,000 views. Thanks a lot. Thanks. All right, Circle, the person who created the USDC stablecoin has been getting ready for an IPO with a value goal of at least $5 billion. 0 cents. But new rumors say that Circle has also had informal talks with both Ripple and Coinbase about a possible sale. This means that the stablecoin market could be shaken up in a big way. Circle has around $61 billion, 0 cents in liquid assets spread out among many types of assets, such as Solana, Ethereum, SUI, and so on. Also, it's interesting to know that Circle makes about $1,700,000,000 0 cents a year, but after all the money they pay out, they only made about $150 million 0 cents last year. That's not like, I think Circle might be in a little bit of trouble here because they are putting down USD. Now you can see why some of these bigger fish in the woods might be trying to catch them. Let's keep going from here. In late April, Ripple is said to have made an official offer to buy Circle for $4 billion, 0 cents, to $5 billion, 0 cents. We had a great time talking about that. Ripple's goal is strategic, which is why they do it. Its own stablecoin, RLUSD, is not as popular as USDC, and if Ripple bought Circle, it would become the biggest player in stablecoins and payments right away. Remember that the USD as it is now couldn't be used in the US or the EU, right? It is thought that US rules will be a little stricter than UK. And if USD can't be used in the UK right now because of some rules, we can guess that USDT might not be allowed in both places, which are pretty much the two biggest markets in the world. In that case, Ripple would have the most important stablecoins in the world in the countries where they matter the most, since USDT isn't allowed there, the place where most of the world's value is. That's what Ripple is trying to do here. They're trying to take over the stablecoin game for good, which I believe is the right thing to do. Beautiful. Ripple is interested in its own strategy. Look at what we talked about. When crying, the crying circle would make Ripple the dominating force right away. As for Ripple's finances, we did say that the company could pay for a deal with a mix of cash and big reserves worth more than $100 billion 0 cents. Well, more than $100 billion 0 cents is in storage, and $100 billion 0 cents is on hand. Please excuse me, not an extra $100 billion cents. To be clear, they have about 37 billion XRP and a little extra in trust. I think that's what they mean here. However, changing a lot of XRP could affect its value and is limited by laws and rules. So if Ripple can sell some XRP to a bank, that's one thing the company wanted the judge to change her mind about. That's something Ripple could do. Ripple might be able to make XRP part of the deal at some point. It's not being sold at the moment, but it's being held as security for the deal. Let's say that 1 billion XRP would be sent to Circle to make everyone whole. That would go to Circle's board, its owners, and everything else. We'll see what happens too. This is the news about the higher bids and the reports. There's stories going around that haven't been proven to be true, right? We talked about these at the time. I made this very clear. If you've ever bought a car, a house, or worked in sales, you know that you don't usually start for, say, $4 or $5 when you walk into a store and see an item on the shelf and are trying to negotiate a price. So if someone says no, do you say, okay, then let me offer you $20 0 cents right away? Let me offer 4 or 5 times what I did at first to try to get you to do it? No, you're not going to say that. How about 6? How about 650? How about 7? You'll be going up in very small steps. During my study on this topic, I learned that in the business world, 20% more than the first bid is usually the highest they'll go. That's about $6 billion 0 cents. So we talked about the stories that had not been confirmed and were not reliable. Don't pay attention to that. Then, wow, that would be crazy as hell. Then, who wouldn't take the deal? You give me $4 billion 0 cents or $5 billion 0 cents. Then you offer me $20 and I say, no, hey, take my money. Like I'd take the deal today, pay me. Presentize In 2008, Coinbase and Circle started the Center Consortium to work together to run USDC. This is where Coinbase stands. The consortium was broken up in 2023, but Coinbase still owns most of Circle and has a lucrative deal to share profits from USDC reserves. Coinbase pretty much knew that Circle needed them in the beginning. They were very good for Coinbase. Actually, this is why Circle is being pushed right now, maybe because of some deals in the past that didn't make Circle's business as much money as they could have. That's why Coinbase or Ripple are trying to get ahead. The best way to say that might not be take advantage of, but, if a chance comes up and you're a business leader and a shark, you have to take advantage of it, right? They could say no, which would be the worst thing that could happen. But if they say yes, it could lead to many other partnerships and good things. Let's keep going. Coinbase's deal with Circle gives it a lot of power, such as the ability to block new partnerships and possibly even control Circle's intellectual property, IP. Coinbase would be a good company to buy if the other company went bankrupt. Many people who are inside the company. Capacity: Coinbase has about $8 billion, 0 cents in cash and other crypto investments, which means it has the money to make such a big purchase. Do not forget that Ripple has $100 billion. Coinbase only has $8 billion, 0 cents in cash and other assets, which isn't as much money to buy things. To do this, Coinbase would have to risk a lot of their own money, more than half of what they have. Also, I'm not sure if Coinbase can do it, but I'm sure they can. In that way, I'm not sure if it makes sense to make such a big investment. We'll see. That's more than $8 billion, 0 cents. We talked about being ready to buy. News sources say that Circle would probably take Coinbase up on their offer right away if they made one. Wow, because operations and income streams are linked. It was always the plan to sell Coinbase, so maybe Circle might have known that. It's hard to picture something like this, right? Because Coinbase would have bought Circle by now if they were going to do it. That is, Coinbase should have known this before Ripple does, right? Because Circle had to share some of this financial information when they tried to go public. This is how Ripple learned about it. On the other hand, Coinbase has worked with Circle for a while now, so they have a good idea of what the internal numbers are. I would have thought Coinbase would have already moved by now, but let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Coinbase will jump in? Do you believe Circle will continue to be a business with just them? If not, do you think someone else will come in and get them? I'd love to know more about how you think. Okay, is there a race to bid? More than one source has revealed that both Ripple and Coinbase are seriously considering buying Circle. There have been casual talks with both sides. Valuations going up. Yes, we did talk about that. $400 million, 0 cents to $650 million, 0 cents. Possible higher bids. While Ripple's initial bid is approved, there is a real chance of a bidding war, especially since both companies know how important it is for their long-term strategy to control USDC, and the Genius Act is now being pushed forward to be voted on. There are 16 Democrats who have decided to work with Republicans to make this happen. Thank goodness Republicans have been in charge for the past few years. Without them, they wouldn't have been able to try to get this done. We'd have to start over, because this rule probably wouldn't go into effect until 2026 or even 2027. So know that I admire Bill Haggerty and the other people who have worked on this for a long time. Thanks a lot. Plus, let's talk about Circle's official IPO promise. Circle keeps telling the public that it's not for sale and is still focused on its initial public offering, IPO. Guys, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing for sale. I was joking. Everything is for sale. Okay, give it some thought. Even though these things were said, people who were there say that things are still fluid and could change quickly based on how the market is doing or how appealing the acquisition offers are.